Hey, this is Jeff, and today I'm doing two more top 5 lists of things from Belthan's Coito Ergo Sum. If you saw last week's video, you know that, sadly, a Steam update borked my New Vegas install, so these are deleted scenes and outtakes from previous episodes, and I won't be making any more New Vegas videos for the foreseeable future, but more on that later. Anyway, first up, one of the little things I like about Coito Ergo Sum, and Quo Vadis, is the interactions between the NPCs. Some of them are almost cutscenes, and you saw several of those in the walkthroughs, but a lot of them are just random atmosphere, especially in the saloon. Once you rebuild a little bit, it feels like there's an actual business going on around you. In Quo Vadis, the staff mostly seem to have a respectful, supportive kind of relationship with each other. In Coito Ergo Sum, not as much. Maybe Larry's consummate professionalism has a trickle-down effect, but working with Hilly sets everybody's nerves on edge. At any rate, here are the top 5 catty conversations I overheard and other "oh no you didn't" moments.
Number 5.
I really like you, Brett. You have a great sense of humor and, well, when I hear tribal, I usually think of cons and vipers, you know?
Why, Angie, I had heard city folk were highly skilled at empty flattery. California must not be as sophisticated as I thought.
Number 4.
Hey Maria, Santa Claus won't
what's
return my calls, you know what I mean? Why don't you ask him for something I want, and I'll get you something you want?
I am older than you are, Fiona. You can use your grown-up voice.
I have to hand it to you, Fiona. You can do things that I would gag just thinking about.
One dead boyfriend, Angie. That's all that stands between you and the gutter. Hey, I've been meaning to ask you. Never mind. I forgot.
Number 3.
Fiona, sweetie, you should slow down. A lot of clients think drunk is attractive, but vomiting? Not as many.
Are you trying to be nice? Because it just comes across as you trying to talk down to me. Sup, bitch?
Fiona, please! Your breath is getting me drunk.
Number 2.
It's just hard to believe. You're a damn sight easier on the eyes than most women my age.
I'm older than I look, Hilly, but I'm not your age. Now, Geraldine's over 200. That's closer to your age.
Number 1.
So, Maria, your last pimp, or I don't know Freeside that well, do you call them managers there? Was he tough? Or streetwise? Or even useful?
Never thought of humping your way out of that jam until it was too late? With your looks, you could have been a mob doll. Well, live and learn.
It would be so comforting to know I'd never age. Frustrating to know I'd always be stuck with that figure. But still, never aging.
Angie, you are the undisputed champion of the left-handed compliment. Me, tend to go with stuff it, bitch.
Well, that was fun. So, here's my final Coito Ergo Sum top 5 list for the foreseeable future. Unanswered questions and loose ends I'd like to see tied up, either in an update or when Vidi Vici Veni comes out. So without further ado,
Number 5.
the difference in Larry and Hilly's management styles got me thinking, how the hell did Hilly ever end up in charge of Lolipopz? There's not much to go on except a few lines from Hilly and Debbie.
Fella what gimme that said it was Larry Slater himself published it, with some help from a vault dweller. That part's bullshit, but if somebody else can do it, I reckon I can too. I got a better claim to the name anyway. Tough talk don't rile me none, but think on this. I've been living in a ranch full of liquor, chems, and women long as I can remember. My neighbors has been fiends and vipers and cons and whatnot, and I'm still living. In a ranch still full of liquor, chems, and women. Read into that what you will.
Before my time, and his story changes. He was born here, he cleared out a pack of raiders and took it over, he won it in a bet. Who knows?
Obviously, before Courier 6 shows up, there's no connection between the DC and New Vegas branches, so it's not like Larry hired him. I'm just curious about how it did happen.
Number 4.
I had a pretty sweet deal going in the hub, but I became unpopular with a wealthy and rather dangerous businessman. Because I had sex with his son and his daughter at the same time. That's my friend Leah, the girl from the hub. She was afraid her father might force her to terminate the pregnancy. She hopes he'll have a change of heart once the baby is born.
The accommodations are adequate and the staff is discreet. I don't need to worry about Daddy finding me here. If I say Rondo saved my life in the desert, Daddy will resend his death warrant. I believe he has better sense to provoke my family a second time.
Your father could still disown you, right?
And leave my dilettante brother in charge of operations? I think not. My family makes, significant campaign contributions. My travel exemption was approved at a very high level. They'll let me through.
Maybe it's just me, but I think it would be awesome if after 6 months in game or something, Leah came back to New Vegas on a business trip and we learned a little bit more about her and her father's business, maybe even a quest related to that or something. She could even be in another movie or magazine. Not saying she wasn't hot when she was pregnant. She might just be a little more acrobatic now.
Number 3.
Handy says she used to be a slaver and mentions the pit several times.
Yes, the pit, the renaissance of philosophy, the realization that true strength comes only through suffering. Before the pit, I was blind. Before the pit, my fascination with pain was undisciplined. I met someone there who gave me focus. Not many people have the stomach to intentionally inflict suffering, or to experience it. The ones who do are usually psychotic. I'm unique. I take pleasure in suffering, but I also understand rationally why it's essential for survival.
At first, I assumed she was talking about Lord Asher, because her suffering as strength philosophy is a slightly distorted version of Asher's. But then I did the walkthrough of Quo Vadis, and something I hadn't noticed before I played Coito Ergo Sum caught my attention.
Yeah? And there's robots can do the work of a man in the Commonwealth. And there's industry and democracy in California. Even if it's true, it don't do me no good.
Solo seems to be in the top echelon of Asher's army, so it's no surprise that he'd know about California, since Asher was left for dead by the Brotherhood of Steel on their way to D.C. But almost everybody else in Fallout 3 thinks synths are an urban legend, and he says it so casually, like he has first-hand experience. He also has numerous lines that indicate he's completely on board with Asher's quasi-Nietzschean philosophy, and then there's this.
This place was the sum of pre-war man's achievements. A single tree grown from 1,000 roots. From fire to steel to holograms. From hunting to agriculture to economics. From myth to literature to truth. All to produce one golden fruit. The ultimate celebration of the reproductive urge. The urge that is both the means and the purpose of existence.
And after the end of A Cure for All Ills Part 2, Handy tells Fresca this.
I don't know. I met a scholar in the pit who believed erotica was art in its purest form. I learned about you from him. It would have been nice to have him around when they were writing reviews for 19th Hole. I doubt that. He was also an assassin and a propagandist for slavers.
So I think Handy's mentor in the pit almost had to be Solo. I don't know, maybe everybody's like, you just figured that out? Duh. But anyway, I'd love to know more about that, because him meeting Handy in the stag before she learned self-restraint and somehow becoming allies, that's a story that just has to be cool.
Number 2.
So in Quo Vadis, we learn that after decades of legal difficulties with Vault-Tec and the government, Larry was blacklisted. He built his own private vault, which they eventually discovered, and charged him with treason because it allegedly compromised national security. And we also learn, from what seems at the time like a completely unrelated journal, that adult film director Fresca Coy died in Las Vegas under circumstances that her girlfriend Bruni thought were suspicious. Of course, in Coito Ergo Sum, the main quest is to discover what really happened to Fresca, and it turns out that Vault-Tec recorded her memories to find Vault-El and then killed her. But it also turns out she didn't know anything about it, which to me was a giant flashing question mark of, if she didn't know, how did they find out about it? Of course, since Belthan specifically wanted Larry saying she didn't even know at the end of the teaser trailer for Vidi Vici Veni, I think it's pretty safe to assume we are going to get an answer to that one.
Number 1.
One of the key turning points in Coito Ergo Sum is when the player discovers Handy is a synth from the Commonwealth. Unfortunately, that discovery triggers a failsafe and wipes part of her memory, so she doesn't remember anything that happened before she escaped, presumably from the Institute, which is kind of eerily prescient of what Nick tells you about his memory failsafe in Fallout 4. Anyway, you can fill in some of the blanks based on the replicated man in Fallout 3, but were her programming defects always there, or did they happen after she escaped, like maybe a railroad memory replacement that went wrong? Why was she so obsessed with Fresca? And what the hell is up with the stag? I'm pretty sure most of those questions will be answered in Vidi Vici Veni. I don't remember exactly when Belthan started thinking of the Lolipopz arc story as a trilogy. Maybe it really was all the way back in Quo Vadis, but I know he was thinking about it when I was recording lines for Coito Ergo Sum, which came out in June, maybe, of 2014. And at that point, Fallout 4 was just a very iffy rumor. I'm sure he wasn't putting all his eggs in one basket, but I'm also pretty sure that Handy's story is going to get wrapped up because he was totally stoked about some tweets from Eric Todd Dellums that implied Fallout 4 was in development. Speaking of which, I can't say much because of my non-disclosure agreement, but I am working on a project that will make fans of Larry Slater very happy. Okay, yes, it's Vidi Vici Veni, but I don't have a script or anything yet, so I can't give you any juicy leaks. Anyway, there were also rumors, which a lot of people thought were hoaxes at the time, but did turn out to be true, that it was going to be set in Boston. And he was like, fingers crossed that the rumors would be true, because then he could bring back Handy as a main character in the final chapter. I think he's told other people that, but, well, if not, there you go. Juicy leak. Well, that's about it. I had been considering doing another walkthrough of Coito Ergo Sum, this time with my main character, so I could show you the allegedly soon-to-be-released update with a romance option for male characters. And since he doesn't suck in combat, I could show you what happens with Fiona if you actually kill Kimball and Caesar. Plus, I could show the alternate ending if you don't overwrite Handy, maybe try to beat my high score for magazine revenue, and anything else I might decide to do differently this time around. But so much for that. Thank you, Steam. And since I'm still in the mood for a pissing contest, what I'm going to do instead is show you something that some people might think is impossible. Turn Fallout 4 into a role-playing game. I know, it says RPG on the box, but they're not fooling anyone. It's an open-world shooter with some RPG elements. It's closer to a post-apocalyptic Grand Theft Auto than it is to the previous Fallout games. Well, there's a skill tree. You can customize your face, and there are aliens, so maybe more like Saints Row. Don't get me wrong, I love GTA and Saints Row, but a lot of people were very vocal about their disappointment that Bethesda went that direction with Fallout 4. If you're watching a video about Belthan's mods, which tend to be pretty light in the combat department and more about solving mysteries and puzzles and dialogue with eccentric characters, you might be one of those people. But with some mods and the right attitude, you can turn it into a passable facsimile of an actual role-playing game, which I will do starting next week. And even if you're not one of those people, I can pretty much guarantee it will not be your typical challenge run or game review. See you then.